Hi, this is Lou with TR McKenzie Realtors, and I'm here with Jill Hauk from Jill Hauk Home Inspections. And we thought it'd be nice today to kind of go over a few questions for an inspector, kind of get a feel for the process. So Jill, thanks for coming.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Should we just get right into it?
Let's go for it.
All right. First question I've got for you, Jill, is what is a typical process for a home inspection, and how long does it normally take?
Well, home inspection is an objective assessment of the readily accessible systems and components of the home at the time of the inspection. So all home inspectors in Wisconsin are licensed by the state, and the state provides us standards of practice that tells us what we're going to inspect and the process that we're going to use.
Okay.
So the standards of practice tells us that we're going to inspect the roof coverings, the chimneys, anything sticking out of the roof penetrations, gutters, downspouts, the exterior of the home, which includes the siding, windows and doors, walkways, decks and porches, the interior of the garage, which includes the garage door operator. We're going to look at the structural components of the home, which include the foundation, the floor structure, the columns supporting the floor structure, ceiling, and roof structure. We're going to look at the electrical systems, so that means we're going to take the cover off the electrical panel, take a look inside. We're going to look at the receptacles, light switches, fixtures, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Going to review the plumbing systems, so that means the water distribution and fuel distribution lines, drain systems, water heater, the venting of the water heater, sump pumps. Going to look at the heating and cooling systems, so furnace, wood burning fireplaces, gas fireplaces, wood stoves, and the air conditioning system. And we're going to look at the interior of the home, which means windows functionality, stairs, guardrails, cabinets, ceiling, floor coverings, wall coverings. And we're also going to get into the attic and look at how much insulation you have and what type of insulation. So it's a thorough review of all the systems and components of the home. It generally takes about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay.
The condominium's going to take less time because there's fewer things to inspect.
Sure.
Larger homes going to take more time. And older homes tend to take more time than newer homes. Okay, for obvious reasons, right? One of the questions I always get from clients is, can I come to the inspection? And I highly encourage that.
Right.
Because part of the inspection is that you're going to get the inspection report, but if you're there during the inspection, you have an opportunity to ask questions.
Right.
And we can talk about the things we learned during the inspection.
Right.
So it's still important to come to that inspection.
Right. Definitely agree. Definitely. Next question for you, Jill. What is the potential cost range for a home inspection? Is there any variable costs?
Yeah. So a home inspection generally costs between $280 and $500.
Okay.
That's for a single family home.
Okay.
So on the low end, $280, that's probably an apartment style condo, fewer items to inspect. On the higher end, that's going to be a larger single family home.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Some additional costs that you can incur for home inspections if you choose to have radon testing done.
Sure.
Radon is a colorless, odorless gas that's radioactive and is believed to be the second leading cause of lung cancer.
Right.
And here in south central Wisconsin, it's quite prevalent.
Right.
I often get elevated levels of radon in homes when I test. So having a test for radon is a good idea. And it's going to cost somewhere between $120 and $150.
Sure. And that radon test I'll also add as an agent is something as a buyer you would want to add into your offer to purchase, because if you don't have that contingency, then you'd have to wait till post-closing to get it tested. So good to keep that in mind. I guess this kind of leads into, can you explain the importance of having a thorough home inspection? Yeah.
It's 3 reasons.
Okay.
First of all, the inspector is going to identify any potential safety issues. Yep. So you can identify, once they're identified, you can address them. Sure. Second of all, the inspector is going to identify anything that needs to be repaired or replaced.
Yep.
The last thing you want to have happen after you move into the house and you're sitting nice and cozy watching TV and there's a big rainstorm going outside, you don't want to see a moisture stain going down the ceiling, right? When it's something that's been wrong with the roof that an inspector could have caught. Right. That cost of the inspection is going to be minuscule compared to the cost of a roof repair.
So true.
So if it's identified ahead of time, you have opportunity to negotiate it with the seller.
Yep.
If it's something you choose not to negotiate with the seller, at least you've now created a punch list of things that you want to address and budget for after you move into the home.
Right.
And then the third important reason of having a home inspection is, and this is especially important for first-time home buyers, is to learn how the home works.
Yep.
What are the maintenance things?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's so important to know.
Yep.
How do you shut off the water to the house?
Yeah.
How do you change the filter in your furnace? Why is it so important to keep your gutters full of free leaves
Yep.
in the spring and fall so you
Yep.
have water draining into the foundation?
Yep.
So those are important things to walk away from a home inspection from. And so the home inspection is essentially a chance to educate yourself.
Yep.
at home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. What are some common red flags you see as an inspector when you're doing a home inspection?
I would say electrical issues are the most common thing you see in home inspection reports.
Sure.
Okay, and they result from two things. One is, electrical codes change over the years, and homeowners generally don't keep up to current standards.
Right.
For example, if I'm in a home built prior to 1998, I'm going to pretty much assume that I'm going to say there's not enough GFCI protected receptacles in the house.
Right.
So those are the type of receptacles you use where there's going to be water.
Yep.
And they monitor for a drop in voltage. If there's a drop in voltage, that means electricity is going somewhere where it shouldn't, like through a person, so the outlet trips.
Right.
And over the years, there's been more and more places that those are required. And if I'm in an older home, I'm going to say, yeah, there's probably not enough of those. So that's a very common thing I'm going to see on a
Gotcha.
report.
Electrical not up to code.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then if you're in an older home, let's say the basement's been finished off since the home was built, or there's been an addition or remodeling, not everybody that gets into the electrical panel may be a qualified licensed electrician.
Sure.
So then you start seeing issues.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes
I would
sense.
say the number one thing that I have on almost every single one of my reports is that either there's not enough smoke alarms,
Okay.
okay,
Yep.
not enough carbon monoxide detectors,
Sure.
or the ones that I'm seeing are way too old and need to be replaced. I
Gotcha.
would say that's on 95% of my reports.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the key differences between, and we kind of went over this, the general home inspection and then the specific testing, like radon, pest control, and I guess you kind of already answered that. It's an additional.
Additional fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during a standard home inspection, there are limitations to what I can do.
Sure.
Okay. So if during a standard home inspection, I can't take samples away from the house and do testing.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
there's instances that you're going to want to do that. Like if I find something that looks like asbestos,
Right.
or if I see a microbial growth that could be mold, or if I see lead paint that's peeling.
Sure.
All those instances would require testing to prove that those materials are present.
Right.
So during a standard home inspection, I can't do that. You need to
Right.
bring in a specialist to do that.
Gotcha.
And there are times that the thing I want to have inspected or further view of, or just isn't available. There's no view available. It's not visible.
Sure.
It's not accessible.
Sure.
So an example of that would be that maybe on the exterior I see an issue with the siding, and I know water's been draining into the wall cavity over the years. I sure as heck want to go and see what's going inside that wall cavity, but I can't.
Right.
So to properly inspect that, someone needs a moisture meter with pins on it,
Sure.
so they can put it inside that drywall.
Right.
I can't do that because I am damaging part of the home to do the inspection.
Gotcha.
So that's not accessible.
Sure.
And one of the common things is if there's a wood-burning fireplace, you have that clay flue liner.
Yep.
The only way I can see that is if I'm up on the roof looking down, or if I'm laying back in the fireplace and trying to look up. So it's not a great view.
Sure.
So to properly inspect the chimney, you need to do a level 2 chimney inspection, which means they're going to clean it
Sure.
and send the camera down.
Gotcha.
So something that's not visible to me, I can't do a complete inspection.
Okay.
Those are more of the specialized inspections that
Sure.
are recommended and can be done outside of the standard home inspection.
And those types of things, if you were to notice you couldn't do generally, you could recommend to the client, hey, I suggest you have someone further test this.
Right. My report's going to advise that these materials, asbestos, lead, or other dangerous materials are present, and have further evaluation by a qualified professional.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How should clients interpret the home inspection report? What can they kind of expect to see within that report that they provide?
So the report's going to have two main areas of information. One part of the report is to describe the materials used to build the house. It'll say what type of foundation. Is it a poured
Okay.
concrete foundation? Is it old rock and stone? Describe the roof coverings. Is it 3-tab shingles or dimensional shingles? So define the materials used to build the house.
Sure.
And then the report's going to list out all the conditions of the system's components as
Sure.
they were inspected.
Okay.
And those conditions will be classified. So one classification is the system was functional.
Okay.
No concerns.
Right.
Another classification is that there was a defect identified. And a defect is something that's a significant safety hazard or something whose condition will significantly limit its normal operating lifespan.
Sure.
And then there'll be some items that will be identified as repair. So things aren't working like they should or aren't set up like they should, but it just doesn't rise to the level of defect.
Right.
The report will advise maintenance items. And then also the report will say anything that I could not inspect, not inspected, like there wasn't accessibility to it, I couldn't see it, or advise that certain systems and components weren't present, weren't part of the house. And there also will be items that will be identified as needing further evaluation by a qualified professional.
Sure.
So as a home inspector, I'm more of a generalist. I think a good way to think about what I'm doing is I'm a safety and functionality inspector.
Sure.
Sometimes you need to bring in the licensed trade person or the contractor to do another look, to really get a complete understanding of what needs to be addressed, what needs to be fixed, and importantly, what are the costs associated with that.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, that's where I come in to negotiate, right?
Yeah.
I got one last question for you, Jill. Can you share a success story where a home inspection potentially really helped a buyer save some money or out of a potential situation they wouldn't have known without the inspection?
So one of the things that comes to mind is that I was inspecting the electrical system in the house, and I walked up to the electrical panel. Everything looked good. I opened the little door in front, and just a first quick glance at what's going on. And circuit breakers look good. No issues identified there. And then I took the dead front cover off, which means I took the screws off and took the cover off the electrical panel. And the first thing I noticed was that the conductors bringing electricity in from the utility company, the insulation was all melted.
Ooh.
And then those conductors, where they go into the first circuit breaker, which is called the main disconnect, that was all melted, black, and it appeared that there'd been arcing.
Okay.
And then as I further looked into the panel, more circuit breakers were melted, and more insulation melted on wires.
Oh, wow.
So something very significant had happened, or was continuing to happen.
Sure.
That was definitely a fire risk, electrocution hazard, beyond just the cost of repair of what caused that.
Right.
And the thing is that without having the home inspection and having that dead front cover removed and getting inside that panel, that homeowner would have never had any idea that risk was out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just talks about how important the home inspection is.
Well, and definitely, like you said, just the small cost of a home inspection compared to what that would have cost to fix and or the safety issue is well worth it.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think that's kind of all the questions I got, Jill. Do you have any parting notes for us?
Get a home inspection.
Get a home inspection. Yeah, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, Jill Hauk with Jill Hauk Home Inspections and Lou from Tierra McKenzie Realtors. We hope to see you soon.